Hey, 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 welcome back to another episode of Friendly Advice. And before we jump in today, I just want to give y'all a really quick update, a personal one and a life one that I hope helps someone because I wish I would have heard this from somebody like circa 2021 before I said burn it all to the ground, right? Before I got to that point and then finally closed in 2022. So Monday, Frankie had a fever of 102. Over the weekend, he was with my mom and she texted me on Saturday and was like, hey, Frankie has like a low grade fever. I gave him some Motrin before he went to bed. And she was just like, I think it'll clear up over time. So then we get here to Monday and he still has this fever that won't go away after he's been taking Motrin for every 6 to 8 hours for now like a period of like 36 hours at that point. And they should clear up in 24 hours. So I just got on the phone at 7:30 a.m., called his doctor and was like, hey, do y'all have any openings? My baby's fever won't go down with Motrin, etc. They said, yeah, come in at 9:30. I said, bet, no problem. Showed up at 9:30, like didn't have to move a whole bunch of stuff around, find out he has the flu and realize like, okay, let me like cancel my day to take care of him and move back a clarity call. So I do all these things and I'm not feeling stressed. I'm not feeling frantic. I'm not feeling like the world's going to end. I'm going to lose my business. I felt fine. I felt calm. I felt happy that I had this flexibility in my life. But if I went back, like when Frankie was like 5 months old, he had a fever at the daycare and I frantically like text my manager. I was like, hey, I have to go get Frankie from school and take him to the doctor. And he goes, yeah, family first. But then fast forward 2 days later in our meeting, and if you're on my email list, you've heard this story. But fast forward 2 days later in a meeting, he tells all of us, like, hey, I understand everyone has like family stuff, but please make sure you're letting me know where you're making up your time. Mind you, I was a salaried employee. And also, I would work countless nights, like trying to fix things on projects that were due soon, and just working on like too many tasks at once as one human in one position. But we really wanted to know like what was going on with our hours whenever we had to do kid things and how we were covering it up and to show more productivity. You know, the American dream of being the ultimate productive worker. God forbid you do like one project a quarter versus three projects plus you're managing your day-to-day tasks, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, but it was so freeing. Like in the moment me and Frankie got back home after the doctor told us like he has the flu and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to rearrange my week. I quite literally yelled out, thank you, God, because I was brought back to that moment where I felt like, dang, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I do always have to be out because I have a 5 month old who gets sick a lot, who also goes to appointments every single week. Like, I just felt kind of helpless at work and at jobs because I knew that was happening. The same thing happened at a different company because I had two separate jobs while after I closed my business. The company before this one, before I had Frankie, I got pregnant. And when you're pregnant, there are a lot of doctor's appointments. And I actually had a high risk pregnancy. So instead of it just being a lot of doctor's appointments like every single week at the end of my pregnancy, it was every week, mostly the entire pregnancy from 12 weeks on. And I had Frankie at 36 weeks. So I constantly felt this battle of like needing to take care of my family, my body, and myself, and feeling like my job or workplace did not really care how that was going on. So it was nice. It was a nice reminder. So if you're like pregnant, currently a mom, or having an issue with like balancing work and life, this is a good alternative. It really is a good alternative to help you manage it all together. And I wish I could go back to like circa 2022 and hug young friend and say, don't give up. Keep going. Let go of some of the clients you have. Let go of some of the extracurriculars in your business that you're doing. Maybe dial back the amount of team members you have to manage. But Keep it. You will need it. There is freedom in this. There's freedom in this flexibility. Anywho, that was just a quick update on my life and what's going on. But let's get into today's topic. Today, we are actually addressing the elephant in the room. What the hell is a virtual assistant? So I kind of realized I was doing that thing to you guys that corporate jobs do. I was kind of like just talking about it as if you already knew what I was talking about. And I'm slowly realizing most of my audience does not currently have a virtual assistant business, but desires one. And originally I was like working towards like helping people who already have a virtual assistant business grow. But I think right now in this season, I'm being called and led to help more people who actually want to start their virtual assistant business. But I'm going to help you start at a point that is scalable for you and not something where you have to end up like me. If you listen to episode 1, where I had so many ventures before I finally made the pod factory happen. But I'll get you to that point before you're just doing it all and just like constantly having to pivot every single week or quarter or month, whatever it is. But I'm going to go back to the basics with y'all. I'm going to not do the corporate thing where I talk about like jargon without giving explanation or some back kind of stories on it. And this will like act as an archive as this podcast grows. Like if I'm ever speaking in high level conversations or using abbreviated language versus the full terminology, I'll probably point people back to like episodes like this. So anyway, today we're going to talk about what the hell a virtual assistant is and what you should choose. Like what are the top niches and service options out there right now. Okay. And next week we'll complement this episode. So like this next couple months will be kind of like quick down and dirty of starting your virtual assistant business via my podcast. Like if you listen to the next like 5 episodes, you'll be able to start pretty much on your own. You might need help on some technical stuff and I'll tell you like how I can help you in those ways. But first, let's like really dive into the topic for today. So let's get a baseline definition of what a virtual assistant is. In basic terms, in my definition version that I came up with, me and ChatGPT, because I like brain dumped. I was like, a virtual assistant is blah, 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 blah. And I was just like running like a whole bunch of stuff out. And ChatGPT was like, let's make this condensed. So this is what we came up with. A virtual assistant is an independent contractor who provides done-for-you services to businesses without being a W-2 employee. So you act more as like a 1099 contractor and you get to like just set a lot of stuff up yourself and you become your own entity versus working for someone else where they're paying your health insurance, they're determining the hours you're working, and they're just determining a lot about your role in their business. Versus a virtual assistant, you kind of set the tone. You say like, this is how I can support and partner with your business. So let's talk about the benefits of being a virtual assistant. Number 1, you get to set your own rates, hours, and choose your clients. So it is no longer a negotiation of salary every like quarter when you have your end of year review. It's more so like, wait a minute, I've gained the clientele, I've gained the knowledge and the skill to actually increase my rates moving forward or increase my rates with my current clients. It is totally up to you on how much you make. You set the standards and you set the tone. There are some times where it's like a little outrageous, a little bit much. And you might have to dial it back, but the market will tell you when you have to dial it back. But you get to set all of this on your own and when you work, how you work, and who you work with. And then another benefit is choosing how you work, which could be like working hourly for people or working on retainers. And then the third option is working in like more of a partnership revenue share model with your clients. So you can choose from those options on how you do that. And we'll go more into like choosing like how you offer your services in another episode. And then there is the final benefit is it is flexible and scalable. So you have the option to choose like what your calendar looks like every single week. And then you have the option to decide if you want to have a huge business or if you want to stay small. So like right now, I only take 6 one-on-one clients because that's all I can manage in nap time hours, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, that 1 to 2 hours I work in the evening, that's all I can manage to take on with clients. So that's why I have another option coming up, and I'll tell you about it in a second. But when it comes to scalability, because you get to decide like when you're available and how much money you make, you determine the revenue and how fast and how big you scale. You could have a business. I know plenty of people who run virtual assistant businesses and they're just happy with making like 1 or 200K a year, and they're like, that's all I need. Like, I don't really need much more. Like, I don't want to scale to an agency. I just want to be one person working for these 5 clients and calling it a day because that's all I have the capacity for. It's very smart. It just basically is literally replacing your income, allowing you to work in a less stressed environment, and you get to control a lot of the variables. So, with all that being said, I have another option that I'm currently selling because I realized a lot of you are brand new to this and my calendar is crazy. I only have space for 6 one-to-one clients. I'm so sorry. I will work on that. We'll figure out what that looks like over the next couple months. If I can move up to 10, I would love to ideally only have 10 one-on-one clients at a time. But this option is for you if you want to work with me now, but maybe it's not affordable to work with me one-on-one, or you feel like Fran is about to be full, but I need a couple more months to get the dollars together for her. Totally fine. I've been there. I'm currently there with like picking a coach right now. Like, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll have a coach in May, but not right now. Okay, so the option is, drumroll please. If you're on the email list, you already found it and saw it. But I am now offering a half-day VIP day intensive. So this will be 4 hours together, and it will be a choose your own adventure option. So I've noticed a lot of you are just wanting to start your virtual assistant business. So I am offering these 6 options, as you can pick 2 to go over with me in your half-day VIP day. But you can pick from these 6, choose 2, and we'll go over in depth each step you need to take to actually set it up. By the time we're done, when that 4 hours is over, you can quite literally start using the systems we set up. What I have noticed, and this has been over time, I do better when I'm working with a coach or anyone and I actually walk away from our conversation with tangible items. That's why even here on the podcast, I leave you with something tangible to go do afterwards, because it helps to get the momentum going. If I just like talk to you for 4 hours and say like, oh, you could do this or you could do that, you're not going to do it. So what those 4 hours are set up to do is to actually action on these items, and you can choose from one of these 6 things. Number 1, client onboarding and systems. Like, we'll set it up together right there in person, and I'll teach you how to like manipulate it on your own. If you're just like, oh, I don't quite like how me and Fran set that part up, you can change it anytime you want. Number 2, client management and workflows. This is going to be how you organize projects and deadlines and how you communicate with your clients and make you look like an actual professional and not just someone who happens to have a skill and is like kind of doing the work for people. No, we're going to make you look like real professional right away. Number 3, services and packaging. We will define your offers, price them confidently, and create a service guide. We'll do this together, and you won't have to keep sitting around thinking like, oh, maybe I'll do podcast management. Oh, maybe I'll do social media. Oh, maybe I'll do... That's gone. We're going to figure it all out in this 4-hour period. Lead management and converting. We'll go through the life cycle of a client from lead to prospect to client to former client. We'll talk about like how you actually manage that full thing and how you take leads from just being a lead and convert them into a client. And we'll make a process that is just for you based on your personality and your skill sets. Number 5, Schedule and deliverables. This topic is really good for my girlies who are stay-at-home mommies who are also deciding to run a business, or my girls who are running a business and still at their 9 to 5. We'll go over how to make a schedule that is actually manageable for you and your lifestyle, that where you can actually deliver on what you said. And we'll talk about how you manage client assets and how you actually make sure you get the things done that you said you were going to get done and be productive, for lack of better words. And people actually rave about your business after they leave. And then finally, number 6, we'll talk about how to market yourself. This one, I feel like is going to be the number one choice for most of you. We'll talk about how you actually become the girl in that niche that you're in. So how I became Fran, the podcast girl. Like my name became synonymous with podcasting. We'll talk about how you do that. How do you position yourself in the market to make sure other people see you as an expert in that field? And we'll get that all done. You can choose 2 of these 6 and 4 hours. You can choose to book 3. Is that right? Yeah. You can choose to book 3 half-day VIP day intensives, and we can cover all of them. Right now, it's a beta price of $497. The price will go up in a couple months. I'm only going to take 5 beta clients. So after the 5th beta client shows up, then the price will go to the normal standard price, but it'll still be good. And at that point, it'll probably be even better because the beta people have given me feedback by then. Okay, now we know what a virtual assistant is. Now let's talk about what a niche is. A niche is something where you become known for. Like, so I had a niche of doing podcasting. Your niche is just the service you provide, and it's how you package your offers and help people understand what you do. A lot of people are like no longer into niching or deciding like to do one thing, and I think that's perfectly fine. But to start, you should start with a niche and then grow from there. Start in Atlanta and spread out with it, right? You don't want to just show up and be like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and have a Cheesecake Factory menu. That is not scalable or sustainable. If you are just like the girl who's like, I only want 2 clients and I'll do whatever they say, maybe, but I would still probably tell you to get a niche. For the most part, you want to choose a niche to be known for that one thing. And so how to choose a profitable niche. So now is the time where I'm going to swivel to stay on track. So step one of this process, again, tangible, get out your notepads. It's time. How to choose a profitable niche. Step 1, look at the leaders in different VA niches. So you want to have your head on a swivel here. You want to research how established virtual assistants position themselves in this niche. So if I want to be a social media manager, I'm looking at people like Shannon McKinstry or Pop Sugar or one of my clients, Creative Dance. Hey, shout out to Morgan. But I want to look around, see how they're doing this thing, not to create the same thing, not to steal or copy them, but just to see what are clients flocking towards. What are clients in this niche actually saying like, oh, I want what she's selling, right? And it's not for you to just like be like, that's my business. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Nah. Inspiration, not plagiarism over here. And then you want to check their prices, services, and the demand. Like, see if people are like still booking them. See if you can figure out like if their comment section on Instagram is dead because Instagram has low engagement going on right now. I hope they fix that soon. Check their Facebook groups, check their TikToks, join their email list, see what they're saying. Like, you want to know more about like what other people in your niche are doing. Number 2, research marketplace demand. So this is how we determine like what clients are thinking about this niche and if people are seeking it out. So browse Fiverr, Upwork, and job boards like LinkedIn and see if this is posted a lot. Even looking so far up as like large corporations, seeing like, do they post for social media managers? Do they post to ask people to help with their podcast management, which they do. They do post things about these very 2 things. So if the larger businesses are doing it, odds are smaller businesses are also looking for positions like this. Identify what clients are actively looking for as well. So like when we're on LinkedIn, when we're on Fiverr and Upwork, We want to see like what are the top job posts. It's not to make you like say like, okay, well, I'll just go with the niche that's posted the most. Not what we're doing. We just want to see what's going on in the market and be informed and make an informed choice in the niche we pick. And then step 3, research, research, research. As Conscious Lee says, research over me search. And in our case, me search is usually just like our feelings, the vibes, and like what we think we want to offer and what we think would be so good for everybody. No. You want to research, look at industry trends and gaps you could fill in like right now today, and then consider what you actually enjoy doing. Those two need to be married. It can't be just one and not the other. You need to know that you will enjoy doing it, but you need to know that there is actual gap in the industry and it is needed and necessary right now. Okay, cool. That is how you choose a profitable niche. Now, let's talk about the top trending niches in 2025. This is according to Google, ChatGPT, Fiverr, LinkedIn. Where else did I look? There was one more place. I can't think of it. Oh, Pinterest. This is according to like the top search engines when it comes to like the virtual assistant world. This is not just like Fran's feelings and vibes. It is like seriously that. If it was Fran's feelings and vibes, you'll notice in a second, there's one missing that I would add in, but according to the trends, it's not there right now. But number 1, content creation and management. So this is not the same as social media management. This is more so you become like the strategist. So you are actually creating the concepts for the talent. So let's say like my sister, she's an influencer. She has 200,000 followers. And she's like, okay, I need like a content creation management system and I need someone to manage it for me. So maybe she like brain dumps a couple ideas and you actually formulate them into full-fledged like reels, products, services, or whatever it is. And you manage how she posts them, when she posts them, and gives it to the world. That is the difference. You aren't actually doing, you're more so coming up with the concepts and managing how a client may receive them and how they can track them over time. Number 2, social media manager. I don't think this was ever going out of style. I don't know how it fell to number 2. It's usually number 1 every year. I think content creation has become more hot because a lot of people manage their social media on their own, or they have like automations around their social media, but like they need more original thoughts and organizing. That might be why content creation has surpassed social media management. But social media management is like a role at companies now. A decade ago, it was unheard of. Like social media managers existed, but they weren't in positions at like these Fortune 500 companies. So I think this is so cool to see something go from like the small layer of online businesses to like everywhere. But social media managers typically are actually going to handle the majority of how you appear online. They're going to schedule your posts. They're going to help you plan out what should happen for the month. They're going to manage, they might even edit the videos and reels for you. They might create the carousels. So they do a little bit of content creation sometimes. They can become like two or synonymous with the other. If you're smart, if you're a social media manager, I would say also offer content creation management. FYI, free game. But yeah, social media management, most of you have heard of it. I don't think it's going out of style anytime soon. Number 3, e-commerce support. I don't know why I never thought about this one. Like I've never thought to learn this, or I've never even looked into this, but it makes so much sense because we buy so much stuff online. Everyone has to manage storefronts on Amazon, has to manage their website, has to manage their inventory and things like that. So in e-commerce support makes so much sense. If you understand it, then do it. Like let's say you, for whatever reason, at one point had your own online boutique where you were like just getting the inventory posted online. Like a lot of people had online boutiques for a while. You probably already have the skills to manage someone's e-commerce business. There are some things, some nuanced things that I would like watch out for when it comes to e-commerce support. but I look into it if I were you. Number 4, technical support. This one is the one I tried and failed at. Only because I'm good at technical support for myself, and I'm pretty good at it if you are another virtual assistant. Which I did at one point have clients who were also virtual assistants. I do technical support for them. So that's like setting up systems, like connecting things, and you may even become more of like automations and operations management eventually in technical support, but really understanding the back end of somebody's tech stack, which is just like their different applications they use to manage their business, is usually going to be your tech support. This could be like managing things like Kajabi, ClickFunnels, Dubsado, ClickUp, like just quite literally any tech that somebody's like, I can't do it because I'm 10 seconds away from being like that with my email management system and being like, I can't do it. Technical support steps in there. And then number 5, finally, is project management. And I think project management is basically what I've told you about. Online business manager is what is typically seen as in the online space. But quite literally, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, we have a lot of things going on in the back end. Like right now, I'm talking to someone about speaking at an event. I'm managing my podcast. I'm managing my clients. I'm also pitching myself to other podcasts. People pitch themselves to my podcast. I'm slowly coming to the conclusion that a virtual assistant will be needed soon. And there's a lot of like one-off projects, and I just like released this new VIP day to everyone. There's one-off projects that come up that if someone else were managing, they would catch every little small nuance. Like from building my website, there were a lot of things I had to do to get my website to live, launching this podcast. A project manager does a really good job of helping you get from A to Z, like from idea to live. And a lot of times they will manage multiple people within your business, like that you work with. So let's say I had a virtual assistant of my own that I was working with, and I had a project manager. The project manager would make sure the virtual assistant had the appropriate deliverables at all times when I no longer like have the time or capacity to let them know like what's going on. As an OBM project manager, at one point, I sat like in a lot of meetings with the business owner I worked for just to make sure I caught all the deliverables she was probably missing, and disseminated that information to her team, and then also came up with a project plan to make sure we knew each piece was getting done and when we should expect it to be done. So just everyday project management. And you may ask yourself, why are these in demand and who they're best for? So a couple of things of what I would think about, like why these are more in demand than like your typical admin assistant or copywriter or podcast manager, which I cannot believe is not up there, or video manager. Number 1, AI. AI has taken over like a lot of the top niches that were around when I first started my virtual assistant business in 2018. This list is very different, except for social media management. It don't go nowhere. But this list is very different from back then because AI can easily do some of these things, not well. I'm saying easy, not well. Don't mistake easy with well. Okay. So AI can easily take on some of these things, but if you do something that is not in the top 5 and you're just like, oh, dang, I think AI has taken over this, think of ways that working with you helps them stand out from everybody else who's using AI. So like, for instance, for me, I do use ChatGPT and I do use AI to help me edit my podcast, but there's a lot of things that I step in to stop AI with that other people don't. Like my friend Becca was telling me, she's a copywriter. She was telling me, she was like, I can tell you use ChatGPT to come up with your Instagram caption if you have this little blue diamond in there. She was like, nobody's ever used that emoji, and all of a sudden ChatGPT has decided it's his favorite emoji, and it pushed it out to everyone, basically cluing us all in. And then also like looking at like how you capitalize letters, how you're like kind of walking through things. And she actually now has like a brand voice guideline that you can feed Chat GPT so it doesn't sound like other people and it's actually helpful and not like just like a copy and paste of all the internet. But that's one of the reasons I think these have replaced the former as the top. And I also think these also have the easiest return on investment right away. Social media managers, there's so much in like insights dashboards on any social site where they can say like, when I started, you only had 5,000 followers or 5,000 subscribers or whatever it may be, whatever the term is on that platform. But now after 6 months of working together, you're now at 9,000 subscribers or followers, and you're also converting X amount of leads. You're getting this much click-through rate. They have all this data to back up what they're doing. Same with e-commerce support. Like, you have so much data to say, like, I've helped you do these campaigns. I've helped you launch these products. I've helped you manage X, Y, and Z, this storefront, et cetera, et cetera. It's just so much data backing these. And the project manager is just very key to staying on top of work and actually getting the things done that you say you're going to get done as a business owner, and managing it all effortlessly or seemingly effortlessly because that project manager is there. What I can say about the top 5 from all these search engines, it makes sense to me based on the world we're in today. And if we're thinking about who's best for these roles, these are going to be the former corporate boss girlies and the girls who are just always willing to grind and learn. Because these aren't virtual assistant businesses that you could just like wake up tomorrow and be like, yeah, I can manage someone's calendar. I'm really good at Google Calendar. It's not those days anymore. It's like an actual skill. So sometimes I wish we would stop calling ourselves virtual assistants and really just say service providers, because we really are. These aren't just your cookie cutter, I woke up like this skills. You actually got them from somewhere, or you sat down and took the time to learn it. And you may like run into clients like I was. When I started my agency, I would hire virtual assistants who just aspired to be podcast managers, and I would teach them a game. I would just like literally go through and teach them everything. And I would start off by giving them a lower hourly rate because I was also basically their coach at the same time. So I would teach them everything. And as I got better, it would switch off and I would like increase their rate or whatever. But we would kind of like do a value exchange there. So you might run into clients who are like, okay, I can teach you how to manage the back end of my e-commerce, or the back end of my course, or the back end of my Kajabi, if I can pay you a little less than the market standards, which again, I don't think that's bad, y'all. It's not a bad deal. Like, they're still paying you and you're getting to learn. It ain't a bad deal. I've done it before. So I think this is going to be best for the girls who are willing to put in the work of learning right now, and the former corporate girlies who just happen to already have these skills. Okay, my personal favorite niche, and this will never die, for scaling, for scaling agencies. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. My all-time favorite will always be podcast management, because you can go into some of these other niches and still stay in the lane of podcasting, because at one point we would create content for them based on their podcast. We would take the transcript and make like 10 pieces of content for different platforms right there from their podcast transcript. And we would make it not the exact same as it was on the podcast, but stand out enough that it was like, oh, dang, that stands alone pretty well outside of your podcast. And then we started editing their videos on their YouTube channel, turning their podcast into an actual blog, not just the transcript posted on their website, but an actual blog before ChatGPT started doing it, right? We were doing a lot of stuff for people, and I think podcasting is so versatile when it comes to like trying to scale it into an agency. And it is a very learnable skill. Like, YouTube University will teach you a whole bunch about podcast management. But if I were starting fresh today in 2025, being very honest, and you probably already noticed it when we talked about the niches up there, I would do content creation and management. I don't love the action items of social media management, but I love the creativity that social media managers get to do. So if I just got to oversee like the strategy of somebody's like content from like their website to their social media, what they're known for, to their TikTok, to their YouTube, coming up with the strategy and concept and helping them bring that to life and creating like quick hitter content ideas for them, I would love it. I would love it. And then like giving it to their social media manager who probably offers content creation. But I would choose content creation and management. Like, and then also like managing, like a lot of people forget about their old content and like at this point it's stale, nobody's looking at it anymore. Let's resurface it in a new way in 2025, like some content you made in 2020 that is like, oh look, we're not in COVID times anymore, but let's run this back and like talk through this in a different way in this current present day and time. So yes, that's what I would choose if I had to like just start over fresh here in 2025. Let's wrap it up. So, number 1, what is a virtual assistant? Class, say it with me. It is just a contractor who does done for you services for other businesses. Number 2, choose a niche and follow the steps 1 through 3 when you choose your niche. You want it to be profitable and enjoyable. One without the other will make you fail in business. So choose wisely. And number 3, consider working with me for a VIP day. If you are like, I want to start my virtual assistant business and I want to come off as a professional immediately, I got you, girl. Let's go. Or boy. I do have a couple boys who have put in inquiries to work with me, which I'm like, I have such like girlfriend vibes. But I also like am the girl who calls my husband, like if I'm like talking to him about random stuff, I'll be like, girl, you won't believe. And I just keep going. And even like my best friends who are boys, I talk to them as if they're a girlfriend. So for the girls and the boys, thank you for coming to another episode of Friendly Advice. If you would like to work with me, seriously, in the link below, you can click it and book a clarity call, and we'll talk through whether you should sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. And I'm always going to be very open and honest about which one will work better for you. If I think you belong in one-on-one coaching, I will tell you, not because it costs more or it brings in more revenue to my business. That's not helpful if you're not finding enjoyable, because I mostly just want to make sure you actually get what you need. But I'll tell you, if you belong in one-on-one coaching or a VIP half day, or if you just need a completely different coach, and I will find that girl for you and refer you to her. I know a lot of people, so I will just send them your way. But DM me on Instagram if you found this episode enjoyable. And most of all, if you have liked these first episodes, and I know some of you have because you've come to me at church, you've come to me in my DMs, you have come to me in my text messages, and you have come to me in some way and said like, Fran, I really like the show. Leave a comment, leave a 5-star review. It will be so helpful and so impactful to growing and getting to more people who I may not know right now and reach them who this message may be for in this season. All right. Thank you. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.